What's good? What's good, guys? Good morning. We're going to be taking a look at XRP, the S&P 500 today. Everything is up right now. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin. We can see that XRP is now reaching for the highs here at around $2.33. Now, just judging by the way this candle formation looks, it actually looks like we're going to go past $2.33. And if you guys don't remember, $2.33 was my level that I said that we need to get over in order to confirm a higher push to the upside, right? So basically this is it right here. So like I said, if we're unable to get above 233, then it's likely we'll come back down to the 200-day moving average. But as you guys can see over here, it looks like we're now reaching for these highs again. So once we get over this little pocket right here, this resistance, then it's very likely that we're going to have continuation higher to around 250 to 271. Now, the reason I say 250 to 271 is simply because that's the 50 and 61.8% fib. When we take a fib from this January high down to this low here in April, okay, so we'll see how this plays out. I mean, the S&P 500 looks pretty good. Like I said, we would rally back into the 200-day moving average. And now we're above this gap over here that we've been talking about for a few weeks now. So yeah, we're rallying back into the 200-day moving average. It looks like this was a leading diagonal where you have a rising wedge, right? This was your wave one. This was your wave one, and then you have an ABC down for your wave two. Now this could be a wave one or A, or a wave two or B, and now we're in wave three or C. But in my opinion, just judging by the way all of these waves look, I do think that it's a wave one and a wave two, because I think that this could have just been a wave four shakeout. And I think that we had more of an elongated wave four, and this wave four took some time simply because this wave two is pretty short. Like if you take a look on the S&P, this wave two it didn't take too much time back here in 2023. But this wave four, you had a lot of people panicking here, but it looks like now we're rallying back into this death cross. So I did say that we're going to rally back into the death cross. It's very unlikely that when you see a death cross, you go lower from there. You tend to rally into it because it's such a lagging indicator, right? So yeah, S&P 500 looks good, and like I said, if the S&P 500 is up, that would translate to higher prices in the crypto space, especially Bitcoin. I made this chart here yesterday for my members, or I think it was 2 days ago. This is the Doge chart. Doge looks pretty good. I think money is going to start flowing back into Doge. And then we can finally take out the liquidity resting above 71 cent. Now, this does look like a ending expanding diagonal, right? So it's either, like I said in my Dent video yesterday, it's either we see the push up now like this, and we take out these highs, or on the small time frame we come down and form a little bit more of a bigger base. But taking a look here at total 3, it doesn't look bad. It's still trending up, you guys see. So in the previous stream we were around over here, and I did say I put this line here to show you guys that we're in a compression pattern and we would reach back up for these highs, which we did. At 847 billion. So it does look like we're going to break out of this horizontal resistance here at 847 billion and then go towards our wave 5 target, sitting at around 1.49 to 1.65 trillion, maybe even come to around 1.8 trillion here. This is the full wave count on total 3. And yeah, I think that we're going in for the last explosive wave in the market, which would likely send a lot of alts flying that haven't taken off yet. So this is total 3. Looks pretty bullish. It is trending up still. And don't forget that we are within a compression pattern, so it's likely to break out to around 903 to 1 trillion. So yeah. What's up, Nate? Happy to have you here, bro. Caramel said, "Hey, caught a live, stoked." Yeah, I know a lot of people a lot of people miss the lives because I don't really give people a heads up. I just, whenever I want to go live, I just go live. What's up, Ricky? How are you doing, Satilla? Let's take a look at BTC over here. BTC is looking good, guys. Look at that. Look at that, guys. 2-week time frame. I pointed out that we were curling up off of this momentum indicator. So it does look like Bitcoin is going to go ahead and reach for these highs here at 109,000. The resistances that are coming up, let's see over here. Well, we're above the 61.8% fib, so it's likely we're going to go ahead and reach for 102. 99,100 to 102,000. Now, what I've seen is that when Bitcoin is starting its uptrend, it usually goes past the 702 and goes to around the 786, 88.6% fib. So we would be targeting 102,000 to 105,500. So around this region is where I would be expecting Bitcoin to go to this week. Okay? So these are the resistances here. And then on the 4-hour time frame, you guys can see that we were just curling up off of this momentum indicator. So yeah, and this is clearly impulsive. We can see 5 waves forming here as well. Market's looking pretty good. S&P's looking great. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000. We haven't seen the Russell. Yesterday was Facebook, Meta and Microsoft earnings. Both came out in the positive. I think that definitely gave a boost to the markets. And Russell is looking pretty good too. We're rallying back towards the 50-day, sitting at 2023. But I do think we'll come a little bit higher here towards the 200-day moving average or the 61.8% fib, sitting at around 2181. So yeah, market looks pretty good. Bitcoin looks good. Alts are trending up, as you guys can see with total 3. Okay, so it looks like we're going to go ahead and take out these highs here at 847 billion and go towards the 200-day moving average at 856. Remember, if total 3 ends up getting back above the 200-day moving average at 856.8, then we can confirm this uptrend. And then we're going in for the wave 5. And this just looks like a falling wedge pattern over here. And we're finally breaking out of it. We're also above the 4-hour momentum indicator. I believe we crossed over it this morning. So yeah, we should see alts rise over here. Thank you so much. Go to the gym, bro. I really appreciate the super chat. Let me see here. So one of the members is asking, can we check out Karrat, please and thanks. Karrat? Is it on TradingView? Is it this one right here? Just confirm. Karrat looks pretty good. It's trending up. We went from making lower lows and lower highs to now higher highs and higher lows. Doesn't look bad here. right? This could be an A, a B, and then you have your C wave down. And even if this was an impulsive move up or an impulsive move down, we would still be coming up a little for a wave 4. So we can take a fib from this drop off point on December 2nd, 2024, down to this low here on April 8th. And take a look at all of your Fibonacci resistance levels. It's likely to come up to the 50% fib, maybe even the 618 here at 28 cents to cap the 200-day moving average. The main thing that I like on this coin is that it's above this momentum indicator. That's what I like seeing. And it's even above it on the 4 hours. So, and you can see like this is a supply zone on Karrat. Let me see here. Daniel is asking for Aerodome. PRO is asking for Arkham. We'll definitely take a look at that, no problem. But yeah, this is what we see on Karrat. You see this supply zone, every time we've come up to it, we've rejected. Do you guys see that? And now we're finally having that push through. So it's likely to come up to the higher retracement levels right here. Yeah, like around here. But yeah, let's take a look at Aerodome. Let's see here. Aerodome. How do you spell this? Aerodome Finance, right here. So yeah, it looks like Aerodome has completed its correction. You see how we swept these lows over here? You swept the low, and it's unlikely that this is an impulsive move to the downside, because then that would mean that your wave 4 overlaps with your wave 1. You see what I'm saying? So it's likely just an ABC correction, a flat pattern, where you have a 3-wave move down, a 3-wave move up, and then a 5-wave move to the downside. So what I'm expecting here on Aerodome is for this equal high buy side liquidity to be taken out, sitting at $2.30, which would be a 200% gain. This does look like Wyckoff reaccumulation, and it's likely we're going to see continuation higher. Now, to find the continuation targets, what we can do is just take a fib from these highs over here. Now, the reason we would be targeting these highs at 230 is, number one, because this is a reaccumulation range. Your ABC is finished, and then we have equal highs. Whenever you have equal highs in the market, there's liquidity resting at those highs. Same thing can be said about equal lows, right? You have equal high buy side liquidity, and if you have equal lows, then you have equal low sell side liquidity. So it looks like we're going to come up to these highs, and in order to find the continuation targets, we'll just take a look at these fibs here on the linear scale. Okay, so I'll be taking a look at 540, 548. So a nice 6.5x, maybe it'll even come to the 3.618, which would be about a 9x. Now, taking a look at how long Aerodome has been accumulating for, or reaccumulating. We've been accumulating for exactly a year. And then on the 360th day, we sweep this support, or we sweep this psychological low. So yeah, Aerodome is looking good. And you can see here, throughout this whole downtrend, going back to December 2024, we were unable to get a daily closure above this momentum indicator. I mean, we got a few over here, but we didn't really have a clean break. You can see that the next day we ended up getting rejected back down, but now we have a full on clean break above this momentum indicator that we have. If you guys are wondering what momentum indicator I'm talking about, it would be this indicator right here. It works really well. CM Ultimate. So yeah, this is what I see on Aerodome. I think it's going to have continuation up to at least $2.30, which would be our equal high buy side liquidity. And then we'd be taking a look at 350, 548, and then 747. What you can also do to find continuation targets is just take a trend-based fib from this low up to this high and then down to the counter trend. And you can see that the 100% fib is sitting right there at the 4.236 extension. So basically what that means is we would just be having a one-to-one extension of the previous leg. So if we were to just copy and paste it, you guys can see it's right there. That's the one-to-one extension, which would be about a 9x. But I would suggest taking profit all the way up, not financial advice. All right, guys, let's take a look at Arkham. We'll take a look at Filecoin, KDA, Cake, all of these coins that you guys want me to take a look at. So let's take a look at Arkham. ARKM, USD. Arkham is looking pretty good too. We have a 3-wave move down. We have a 3-wave move up, 3 up in your A, 3 down in your B, and then a 5-wave move to the upside for your C. And then what we have is a 5-wave move to the downside for your C wave. So let's just change the degrees of these waves just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, sometimes you may not have a flat pattern here, but usually what I've noticed, even though it's not a flat pattern, like this would be considered a flat pattern, the B wave tends to be within 3 waves here. That's what I've noticed in crypto, that the B wave will always, the A wave may only be 3 waves, even though it's not a flat pattern. So this would be your ABC correction down for Arkham. And then look where Arkham came down to. Came right down to this structural support that we've used as resistance and support about two years ago. This was in August 2023, and then we used it as support in January 2024. So, like I said in my Dent video yesterday, I think that we're in for a really big push in 2025 in the altcoin space. I think we're gonna see a really nice comeback. And then what we can also do to measure this C wave is just take a trend-based fib to this. And you guys can see that we came down to the 100% extension, just wicked a little bit lower. And this is your ending diagonal here. You guys see this ending diagonal in which the waves overlap each other? So now we're above this momentum indicator on the daily time frame, especially, and we just got above it on the 4 hours. So it's likely Arkham is going to go ahead and reach for these highs here at 65 cent and then head towards these retracements right here. Okay. Now, what I would want to see on Arkham is just a daily close back above 75 cent. So we can deny the possibility that this is an impulsive move to the downside, but rather corrective. Okay, these are all the targets for Arkham. And then this is your range. Okay, so it's likely we're going to come back up to this region to at least the 50% fib, which would be sitting at $1.80. Boom. But yeah, next point of interest on Arkham would be this level here at 65 cent. I think we're going to reach for it. Yeah, this is Arkham. Okay, let's take a look at... So Satilla is asking, Pip, can you show us the fibs we need to take to find price confluence for altcoin runs? Yeah, I can definitely do that. So okay, so let's go to total 3 over here. And I'll show you guys exactly how I found the fibs. So you're going to place the fibs in a couple of different ways. So what you can do is, let me see here. Okay, so you can take a fib from this high in December down to this low here in April, which would be this fib right here. And you can see that on the logarithmic scale, the 1.786 is at 1.74 trillion. You can also take a look at the 1.702, and it's sitting right there at 1.66 trillion. Then what you can do is take a trend-based fib. Remember, in order to find the wave 5 target, we're going to take a trend-based fib from the bottom of our wave 1 to the top of our wave 3 and down to the bottom of our wave 4. The trend-based fib is right over here within the Fibonacci menu. It's the second one over here. Make sure that when you use the trend-based fib, it's always on the logarithmic scale. So make sure this box is always checked on. And you can see that if we were to have a one-to-one extension here, that would be right there at 1.65 trillion. So now we have confluence. We have confluence of this area, 1.65, to this fib over here when we placed it from this high down to this low. Okay, so now that's 2 ways we can find the end target. The third way is to just simply take a fib from the previous all-time high back in 2021 down to the bear market low in 2022, and we can do the same thing, right? But take a look at it on the linear scale. So now when you're taking a fib from the 2021, 2022 highs, you always want to make sure it's on the linear scale, so the targets are not too far-fetched, and you want to be as conservative as possible. So the 1.618, 1.702, and 1.786 is around that same region. So it's very likely that total 3 is going to come up to around this area, 1.64, 1.65 trillion. And then we're going to likely form a rolling top, a distribution structure. And then we'll come down for the bear. But yeah, this is what I think for total 3. You can see all of the waves here are mapped out. And these are just some ways you can find, or these are the ways you can find the wave 5 targets. You can apply the same concept to your altcoins. Total Russell 2000, it's up this morning. This is Russell 2000 futures. It's looking pretty good. S&P 500 is also looking great. Wow, S&P is on a tear right now, heading for the 200-day at 57.46. Okay, let's take a look at some more coins that you guys are requesting. We'll take a look at CRV. CRV is on a tear. It's definitely moving impulsive here. Okay. Yeah, Mina is saying NQ is looking pretty good too. Yeah, NQ is looking good. Let's take a look at NQ. Yeah, NQ is looking great. This would be your wave 4. This is your C wave here. And we're back above this historical trend line here. You guys see that? We used this trend line in November 2023. And we're not that far away from the 200-day moving average, a little bit less than 1% away from the 200. And like I was showing you guys in the previous videos, there's nothing really to worry about, because it's likely that we're going to have what's called a return to normal in the stock market. This is the full wave count on NQ. Okay, it looks like this was just a wave 3, and we came down for a wave 4 over here, and now we're headed up for a wave 5 to a new all-time high. Okay, now all I would want to see here going forward is just a push above the 200-day. Once we get a push above the 200-day, then it's smooth sailing from there, and we'll go in for this wave 5 here, wave 5 of 5, sitting at around 23,655 and 24,470 to 25K. Maybe even 26K will reach. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. Stock market is up, Russell 2000 is up, and that would give that would open the door to higher prices in the crypto space. Let's take a look at USTD dominance. We can't forget USTD dominance. Remember, USTD dominance moves opposite to that of crypto, and like I said over here on the weekly time frame. When you take a look at the weekly time frame, you can see that last week's candle, it broke below this low. So this would be a break of structure. Then we have, so this is your break of structure right here at 4.95%. Then we wick up to fill this inefficiency, and now we're back down below this red line here. So it looks like USTD dominance is within a confirmed downtrend. And we're going to be reaching for this 200-day moving average at 4.7%, which would of course translate to higher prices in the crypto space. Okay, so I do expect a move down to this 200-day at 4.7%. And something that I wanted to point out again is that on the weekly time frame for USTD dominance, we never had a weekly close above the 78.6% fib. Do you guys see that? So let's just delete everything here. Take a fib from this weekly high on August on August 5th, 2024, down to this low, and you guys can see here, no weekly close above the 786. So this looks pretty good for a continued move down, just rejecting at trendline resistance. Okay, so I expect a move down here once we clear the 200-day moving average. Now, this is the 2021 low on USTD dominance. So we can take a fib from that low up to this high here in June 2022. And we'd be targeting the 61.8% fib and 70.2% fib at 3.49 and 3.06%. Okay. You see, we're missing a fifth wave here. You guys see that one? This is your wave 1 on USDT dominance, your wave 2, your third, your ABC up for your fourth, and now we're coming down for a fifth here. Okay. And like I said, next short-term POI is at 4.7% at the 200-day. So thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate that super chat. Dan is asking, when do you think XRP will have a correction? Let's go back to XRP here, and I want to show you guys what I think here on XRP. So by the way, XRP is just doing this structure right here. That's all it's doing. We finished this spring in the reaccumulation schematic, and now we're going to have a push up to the highs. Now remember what I said in the last live stream or in the last XRP video. If we're able to clear or even get back up to 229 and even get back up to 230, then it's very likely we're going to see a continued push up to around 250 to 270, right? When we take a look at this, we see that this was our spring. Let me just show you guys with the... You see this move right here? We finished that move. This move is finished, and this move on XRP was this guy right over here. Was this guy right here, where on the weekly time frame we wick below the 200-day. Let me go on a cleaner chart here so you guys can see. Okay, so this is the weekly time frame on XRP. You wick below the 200-day, close back above it, back into this range, close back into the range. Then we have a doji the next week. The week after that, we have a bullish engulfing. And this current week, which closes in about 3 days and 9 hours, it's likely going to close as a doji, which means that next week we'll likely see higher, right? So this is what you tend to see at the start of uptrends. You have a candle to solidify support, which is this $1.92, and then when you have a doji engulfing doji, you're likely to see continuation higher with the next candle. So XRP is looking pretty good. I actually think that it's going to break above 230, but we'll continue to monitor. And like I said, there is stops above this trend line. So think about how many sell stops are above this trend line, considering how many times we've rejected off of it, right? So you have traders placing their stops above this trend line, and it's likely going to be taken out next week. Okay, these are the fibs. So I think we see a move to around 255 to 272. Now, I wouldn't recommend high leverage if you guys are playing with futures. My rule is nothing over 2x, especially with XRP. But yeah, this is XRP. It's looking pretty good. 4 hour is pushing back up to these highs. I think it's going to come back up here. We'll see. And remember, get a move above 233, then we're looking good. Don't forget that this still could be an A, a B, and then we come down for a C wave. But judging by the way Bitcoin is looking and USDT dominance, I think we're gonna have continuation higher. This is the, so I just want to see a move above this momentum indicator on the 4 hour. So just above 225, if we can get a 4 hour close above that, it would be looking pretty good. But I made a chart here on XRP showing all of the exit targets. Let me just find where I put that. Is it over here? Let me see. Okay. I have so much layouts, guys. I kind of just want to delete all the layouts and then start again. Okay, here it is. Here's the XRP roadmap. Okay, so these are all of the TP targets. You see, we finished wave 4 for our reaccumulation structure as the spring. And remember, we could still come down for a C wave. That's why I have this ABC laid out on the chart. However, if we get above this level at the highs, then it's likely we're already within wave 3 to the upside. Okay. Yeah, these are the targets. I think that we're going to find resistance at around 474 to, let me see here. $474 to 480. We're going to find some resistance there. So if we start, forming topping tails on the daily over there, you can take partials here. But I actually do think that XRP goes higher to around 750, with the possibility of coming to around 11 to 14 buck. But yeah, this is just simply a reaccumulation structure on XRP. What's up, Mr. Scotty? Thank you for joining the membership. Glad to have you as a community member. Let's take a look at these coins, some coins that I missed here. Okay, Filecoin, KDA, and Cake. All three of those coins are great. Let's take a look at KDA. Okay, so this is KDA over here. It's going to come up to the supply zone at $1.42 to $1.60 because, like I said in yesterday's video, our manipulation is done, right? This was our accumulation range that we've been in. Let me see here. Yeah, so this was our accumulation range here. And then you have this shared support. You see, every time we come down to demand zone, we have a push up. But then we finally sweep it here in April 2025. So now all I would want to see here on KDA is just a push above 71 cent, which is the 200-day moving average. So we can confirm a move towards this supply at $1.50. So a nice 100% push, 110% push up to this supply zone. And then in order to find the targets, all we would need to do is simply take a fib. Also, these are equal highs as well. So we have liquidity resting above these highs. It's very likely it's going to be taken out. This would be considered our equal high buy side liquidity. Okay, so it's going to come up and take out these highs. Okay, this was your bottom right here. This guy right here was your bottom on KDA. Now, what you can do to find the targets is simply just take a fib from the high of the range and take a look at the linear scale fibs. Okay, so these are your expansion targets right here. And then we can also take a fib from the previous all-time high down to the low. But you see when we take a look at it on the linear scale, the fibs are very far apart like this. So whenever you notice that, just simply check this box and put it on the log scale, and you see how well the fibs line up. And then this is how you form your take profit target. So this would be your TP1, right? This would be your TP1. This would be your TP2 on KDA. And this would be your TP3. So you can pause the video. You can see all the TP levels. This is where I expect it to go. $3, so $2.95 to $3, $4.68 to $5, and $6.34 to $7.37. These are the levels in which you want to take profit at. And KDA does have the potential to reach the 78.6% fib, so use this 786 as your moon bag at 10.58. Okay, that's KDA. So Ernest, let me see here. Okay. We're going to take a look at DGB. We're going to take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem. Every stream, we take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem. So for all my PulseChain guys in here, no worries. We'll take a look at all of those coins. If you guys don't mind, whenever you guys are asking for coins and I do the request, just place the timestamp in the comments so other people can just other people who miss the live can just go ahead and click it, and then they'll see their coin. Okay, so this is KDA. It's looking bullish. We'll also take a look at Filecoin. Okay, so this is Filecoin right here. Let me see. Did I put this on the black chart or? Okay, yeah, I put it on the black chart here. Yeah, Filecoin is looking fine. It's following our wave count perfectly. I think we're going to make our way to 324 to 360, see a little bit of a partial decline, and then go in for your distribution, sitting at around 17 to $18. okay? Now, there's no guarantee that we're going to continue up from around this region, because this could be a redistribution structure where this is your A, your B, and then your C, and then we come down for your bear market, rather than a accumulation structure where we just come down to tap into these highs and then continue up from there. So just be very cautious with Filecoin once we reach up to this level, once we get above 1175. And then what we can also do on Filecoin is take a fib from the very high down to this low, and you can see that the 50% fib is right around that same region, around this level. We could do the same thing we did with KDA, and it's just taking a fib from these highs here down to this low. And you guys can see, let me show you guys here. You guys can see that the 1.618 and 1.702 is at 17 to 18. And then if you take a fib from this high, the liquidity extraction or the fake pump in December down to this low, you could see the 2.618 is at 18 as well. So yeah, I do expect distribution to the upside. Remember, we've been accumulating on Filecoin for over 1,000 days. So over 1,000 days of accumulation, and you have a shared support. This is your established support right over here, and then we dip below it right here. This is your manipulation. Now we can go in for our distribution. So you have accumulation, right? This is your accumulation. Then you have your manipulation. So this is the second phase in the market: accumulation, manipulation, and then you have distribution. So nothing has changed for Filecoin. Still expecting nice rise to the upside. We've had over 1,000 days of accumulation. Next point of interest on Filecoin would be sitting at this level right over here at 327 and 363. So I expect to move up there, see a partial decline, and then continuation higher towards range highs. That's Filecoin. We'll take a look at some more coins that you guys have. Raw Doggin is saying, yo Pip, ACH, boom boom time. Yeah, all right, we'll take a look at ACH. I'm very bullish on the ACH structure. It's forming a huge compression pattern. Let's check it out. This is ACH. It's following our analysis perfectly. We took out equal high buy side liquidity. We saw a little bit of a partial decline back to the 23.6% fib, and it looks like we're going to have continuation here to these highs at 0.04 to 0.046. Okay, so this is ACH over here. I think we're going to take out this external range buy side liquidity sitting at 18 cent. I actually think we're going to take out the highs here on ACH. These highs right here. And then this is your this is your supply zone. So we're going to move up to this supply here on ACH. So around 0.038 to 0.047. Okay. And then what we can do is take a fib from the all-time high down to the low. We'll keep this 702 and the 786 on the chart because that would be the next point of interest after we breach supply. So it would be at 0.067 to 0.087. And that would be a nice 140 to 200% gain. A move back up to supply would be about a 75% gain. Now, once you get above the 786, then we'd be taking a look at the targets above the last all-time high. And remember what I said, whenever you want to find targets above the last all-time high, you're going to take a fib the same way we placed it from the all-time high down to the low. but take a look at it on the linear scale instead. So we'll take a look at the 1.618, 2.618, 4.236, and 3.618. So these would be the targets. Okay, so I'm expecting 27 cent on ACH. We have a little bit of a inverted head and shoulders pattern going on here, a little bit of a slanted inverted head and shoulders. We have your left shoulder here, your head, and then your right shoulder right here. So if we can get back up to these highs, that would be great. Nice falling wedge over here, breaking out of it. And you can see every time we had like sort of a falling wedge structure, we ended up breaking out within the range. So we had a falling wedge structure here, we broke out about 279%. We have a falling wedge structure here, and we'll likely see the same thing. Okay, even over here, right? Just a bunch of falling wedge structures. So yeah, 217% towards the 786 on the log scale, and then towards last all-time high, 500%, and then towards the 1.618 about a 9x. So yeah, really nice accumulation structure. I really like how many times we came up to this supply and how we're using this diagonal trend line as support. What we can also do is take a look at the 200-day moving average, and we're currently above the 200-day. You see how many times you see how we came down to it and tapped it here as support? So yeah, this is ACH. Looks pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at some more coins here. So many PulseChain bros in the chat. We're gonna take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem, guys. Don't worry. We'll take a look at it all. All right. Nice to have you here, Real Ice Bear. Hope your morning is going well. Okay, now there's one more coin I want to look at before I move on to the next coins here. It was Cake. I know there's a lot of people in the chat who hold Cake, and it's following along great. Well, we can start this chart from scratch. This is our supply zone. It can be very simple, and then this is our demand zone. Okay, it looks like this was the bottom over here on the Bybit hack. This was the bottom here, right over here. And then we have a smaller supply and demand zone right here. Right? So we're going to see a move up to this level for sure. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't see a move up to around 280 to 288. Probably see a little bit of a pushback, but eventually see a break above. You see how many times we've rejected off of this supply? This is the composite operator or the market maker doing this on purpose, right? So they can create a smaller range to accumulate at before we have distribution to the upside. Now, Cake is a very interesting coin. When we take a fib from this drop-off point back in December down to this spring and take a look at these fibs here. We have 667 around $10 at the 2.618, and then 3.618 is at $12. 4.236 is at 14. Then we can take a fib from the last all-time high down to the low, and you guys can see that you see how the fibs are lining up. So I expect a move to 683. I want you guys to skim some profits there once we get there. right? So this would be your TP1. And then we'd come up for our TP2 right over here. And then your last TP should be around 11 to 14 buck. So basically this is what I'm expecting. This was your spring. This is your test. This is your last point of support. Then you have continuation up to finally have expansion out of this 1,000-day long range to around 683, 667 to 683. See a little bit of a decline to tap this range, to tap the top of the range as support, and then see another push towards our TP2 and our TP3. Then I think we see a move back to the range to retap it as support. So this would be considered your sign of strength in Wyckoff accumulation, and then this would be considered your backup phase, BU. Okay, so these are the TP targets, and the reason I say that it's a very interesting coin is because when we take a look at the market cap chart on Cake, it never made a new low this whole entire time. Since September 2023, the market cap chart on Cake hasn't made a new low. And we can see that the 78.6% fib on the market cap chart is at 3.57 billion. 3.57 billion translated to the USD value would be at around 11 to 12 bucks. And if you guys don't remember, 11 to 12 bucks was right here at TP2. Okay, TP2 and TP3. Okay, so lots of confluence at the $10 to $12 region. However, I am expecting a little bit of a resistance to come in here at 667 to 683. You can also take a fib from the very high of the range down to the low of the range. And you can see the 2.618 is right there at 1180. Yeah, so lots of confluence at around 10 to 12 bucks on Cake. But yeah, short term on Cake, next point of interest would be this supply zone at 271 to 288. Let's take a look at some more coins that you guys are requesting. Okay. All right, so we're going to take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem here. Let me see here. All right, let's take a look at PulseX. I know in my last PulseX video, I did say that there is a possibility we see like the low is not in, right? So now there's two scenarios that I see on PulseX, okay? The first scenario would be that the low is already in, okay? And now we see a move back up above our point of control. Our point of control, it's basically where 70% or more of the volume is located. And it's sitting right there. You could see that we went to the POC, and then we saw a retrace down to the 50% fib. So if we can reach back up to these highs here at 403131, then it's very likely that the bottom is in on PulseX, and then we would be targeting these higher fibs over here. Okay, 4037, 4043. And then the last, and then remember what I said, if we end up getting above this level here, or even getting to this level at 4047 and 4051, then it's very likely the bottom is in. And then we're going to be headed for these breakout targets over here. Now, I'll show you how I found these targets. I just took a fib from the highest recorded price within this pennant down to the lowest recorded price, and I took a look at it on the linear scale. So we'd be targeting the 4.236 extension, sitting at 3056, which would be a nice 22x, 23x. But if we just view this structure like a rectangular range instead, and we take a measurement from the bottom of the range to the top of the range and copy and paste it on top of each other, we can see. So basically, if we were to just flip this structure on its head, we would come to around here, which is the 1.786 extension. Now these fibs, I placed it the same way I found these fibs. The only difference is that it's on log scale instead. Okay, so these would be your conservative targets, and then these would be a little bit more aggressive. So we'd be targeting 2012 at the 1.786, which would be about 47x. Pretty crazy numbers. Very risky coin, so if you're not already in this ecosystem, be very careful. So this is PulseX. We'll take a quick look at incentive token. I actually think incentive token is bottomed here. I'll show you guys. This is incentive token. We had your ABC down like this towards the 70.2% fib. And I'd be expecting 16 to 26 from here, and then 49 to 62. We can be very simple with this, and I'll show you guys. This was your shared range, and this was your manipulation below that range. So if we can get back up to these highs here at $1.78, then it's extremely likely that the bottom is in. Okay, so I just want to see a move back up to these highs on incentive token. Like right there at $1.59, $1.60. So we can confirm this was your manipulation. And we're going to go ahead and reach for these highs. Then we can also take a fib from the all-time high down to the all-time low. Take a look at the logarithmic scale. We see that the 786 is at 26 bucks. Okay. And you can see where this manipulation came down to. It just came down perfectly to the 70.2% fib. Do you guys see that? Do you guys see how it tapped the 702? So I just want to see a move above $1.60, then we'll be headed off for the races, back up to this supply at 360. Let's go back to TradingView here. Let's see what other coins you guys are asking for. Jasmi, QNT, and Doge. Yeah, we'll take a look at it for sure. So this is Doge over here. I made a really nice chart on Doge. Like I said in yesterday's video, when we see money starting to flow in Doge, that's how you know that the retail are starting to pick up interest again in crypto. But you want to get positioned before that. You want to get positioned before the masses realize that. So let's go ahead and take a look at Doge here. So I do think that Doge comes to around $1 to $1.40. This is the daily time frame on Doge. Going back to 2021, this is our distribution range, where you have an ABC down for your A, you have an ABC up for your B, and then a 5-wave move to the downside for your C. This would be your bear market. So this looks like the Livermore speculative chart. You guys can Google what that looks like. Just type in Livermore speculative chart on Google Images. You'll see this exact same structure. From an Elliott wave point of view, this would be considered a ending expanding diagonal as long as these lows hold over here. And then on the small time frame, there's 3 scenarios that I see. The most likely scenario would be a move back up to these highs here at 20 cent. The second scenario would be to see a flush back down to this to this region at 15 cent to form a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders pattern, or we have a deeper flush where we have 3 lows set and then we continue up from there. But I would say the most likely scenario going forward, considering that BTC and Total 3 are trending up, is a move back up to these highs at 21 cent. But yeah, this is Doge. I think it's going to hit $1.06 to $1.40 around this region. So once Doge gets to this region, that's when you'd want to start exiting the position, not financial advice, because this would be your wave 5, right? You can also take a trend-based fib to this. And yeah, the 1-to-1 extension is around that same region. Okay, so this is what I see on Doge. Take a look at some more coins here. Okay, what's up, AB? Hope all is well. You want me to take a look at OGN? We'll for sure take a look at that. Real Ice Bear is asking for LCX. I really like the LCX structure. I made a chart on LCX right here. Yeah, this is LCX. Wyckoff distribution. Okay, this was your wave 3, your macro wave 3. So this in 2021 was your wave 3. Then you come down for a wave 4 in December 2022, and then we've just been slowly grinding up here. So once you go above the last all-time high on LCX, that would be considered our danger zone, because this would be in Wyckoff distribution. This would be considered our upthrust after distribution. And so far, this move here, it doesn't look so impulsive, but it looks corrective. But even though it looks corrective, it doesn't mean that LCX won't offer significant gains to the upside. From the current price up to our danger zone, that would be about a 5x. Maybe it'll come to around $1.15, which would be a 6x. Let's just remove some fibs here just so you guys can see a little bit more clearly. Yeah, so these levels here, you'd want to be scaling out. Yeah, it's around 58 cent up to $1.15. That's when you'd want to start scaling out of your position on LCX, not financial advice. Right, you can even consider this like your A wave. This is your B wave, and then you come down in a 5-wave move for your C wave. So it's just a distribution structure that we have here on LCX. Very similar structure to that of QNT. We'll take a look at QNT here. This is QNT. You guys see? Okay, this is QNT. This is what I expect. I expect to move up to around 662 to 789. Would be a nice, let me see here, nice 6 to 8x, maybe even a 9x in there. So you have, now originally for QNT, we said that, okay, yeah, it's going to come up to around 1400 to 1600. But I'm thinking, right? Judging by the way this correction played out, where it's just gone sideways for this long, there is a possibility that this next push up here is just the last push before we enter into a bear market or come back down to these range lows. And this would just be, and all we would be doing is just creating a bigger base for a wave 5 in the next cycle. Do you guys see that? So going all the way back to 2018, you have a 5-wave move in the form of a leading diagonal, right? A little bit of a rising wedge structure, an ABC down for your bear trap. a wave 3 up to the 1.236 extension, and then you form this wave 4 base over here. Okay, I'll make this red so you guys can see the macro count. See, this is just a wave 4 base. And now I expect to move to around 529 to 789. And then once we get to around this region, like this region right here on QNT, you'd want to be very cautious, because we can we'll likely see the breakdown for the C wave from here, and then our bear market would start. Or the second scenario would be that if we end up going above this region here, then it's likely we're going to be headed towards 1429 to 1666. And do the original thesis that I laid out, where this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2. You have your third wave, fourth, and then a fifth wave like that, instead of this just being an ABC. Okay, so really bullish on QNT. When we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we do see that we are above the momentum indicator. It does look like we're going to reach towards the 200-day moving average sitting at $90. Okay, you can see that we went from making lower highs and lower lows, right here, lower highs and lower lows, to higher highs and higher lows. So the trend is definitely shifting. We can see that as it's above our momentum indicator on the 4-hour. And then we can also take a look at the EMAs. So you can see that we're above all of the 4-hour EMAs, something that we struggled to do during this whole downtrend since December. Taking a look here at the daily time frame on QNT, you see how many times we had like small deviations above the daily EMAs, but we ended up getting knocked back down a day or two after, right? But I really like the way it's curling up here. So yeah, I expect to move to $90 on QNT. Once you get above the 200-day at $90, then it's very likely that QNT is bottomed, and we're going to go in for expansion above the last all-time high. Okay. All right, let's take a look at MATIC. Super bullish on MATIC. Now, you know, MATIC has, like, the holders on MATIC have been suffering for so long, and I don't think that the structure looks bearish. Like, if you're an Elliott wave guy and you just do strictly Elliott wave, you would say, yeah, that this is super bearish and it's within an impulsive move to the downside. But the Wyckoff guys, they'll say that this is simply just Wyckoff reaccumulation. Okay? So let me just remove these drawings over here so you guys can see properly. Okay, so this is your range over here on MATIC. You see how we creak down? We're just slowly creaking down throughout all of these years, over 1,000 days. And then you finally have a capitulation down below this range, or this falling wedge support. This over here was considered your spring. So this is your creek on MATIC. This is your spring. And if MATIC gets up to 31 cent to 41 cent, so this region right here, if MATIC can just get up to this level, right over here, then it's very likely the bottom on MATIC is in. And this was our spring, and now we're going for what's called a jump across the creek. These are all Wyckoff terms. So you have your creek, right? Very painful experience for holders. They're just pulling their hair out. They don't know what to do, if they should sell, if they should hold, buy more, right? Because it's very hard to decipher when you're creaking like this. But then once you have this slam back down below this psychological support and below this pattern, the lows of this pattern, and then have an attempt to rally back into the range, which would be about 31 cent to 40 cent. So if we get to this yellow box over here on MATIC, it's very likely this was the spring, and now we're going in for a jump across the creek. The targets on MATIC would be 7, 960, and 1120. Okay, these targets are found by taking a fib from the all-time high down to this spring. Okay, so this is what I would be expecting on MATIC, and same thing as XRP. This reaccumulation structure would just be a wave 4. That's all it would be. Let me remove these drawings here so you guys can see a little bit more clearly, and then we're going to zoom out to the 3-day time frame. Do you guys see that this is just a wave 4? That's all it is on MATIC. Like there is a lot of holders on MATIC, right? Think about this sentiment when we broke below this psychological support. Think about this sentiment over here, right? They think it's a dead coin because it broke below this low. But if we just rally back to this yellow box here, then we can confirm that this was our wave 4 low, and we're going to go in for our wave 5. And it makes sense why this wave 4 was so complex and drawn out. It's simply because this wave 2 is very simple. So when you have a simple wave 2, you're likely to have a little bit more of a complex wave 4 and vice versa. Okay, so this was your wave 4 reaccumulation structure. Very bullish on MATIC. Really bullish. I think it's going to make a comeback for sure. There's still liquidity resting above these highs, considering these are equal highs, right? This would be not really equal highs because this went a little bit higher, but it's still at the same region. So I would consider it equal highs. So this would be our equal high buy side liquidity sitting at around 285. So I think it's going to come back up there. And yeah, 1,000 days, a little bit, 1,400 days of reaccumulation. Okay, now in 2025, that's when we see the spring, in April of 2025. Now we go for the expansion on MATIC. Let's take a look at some more coins that you guys are asking. So Muhammad is asking for KDA. I did KDA, bro. Just rewind the stream a bit, you'll see it. So brother Abid is saying, do you think it's possible XRP won't make a new all-time high this bull run, and instead money will flow out into the alts that have not done as much, such as ETH, DOT, and ALGO? I do think that XRP makes a new all-time high. However, I would say that there's a little bit more gains to be seen in other coins, considering XRP front run the market. A really good chart we can take a look at is XRP dominance. So taking a look at XRP dominance here, let me remove these drawings and I'll show you guys exactly what I see on XRP dominance. Okay, this is XRP dominance over here. Okay, this was our range. This was our range, your accumulation, and then you dip below the range for your manipulation. Then now we're finally entering into expansion. However, I do think that XRP dominance on the high time frame comes up to this supply zone right here at 13 to 14%. So when XRP gets up to this supply zone here, that's when you'd want to be very cautious holding XRP. Okay? So I do think that XRP makes a new all-time high. And we can take a look towards XRP dominance for a little bit more confluence. So this is our demand zone that we tapped into about 4 times. But we still need to come up to this supply over here. And then I think when XRP gets to around this region here, at the top of this range, that's when I think XRP may top out or at least stall out. And we only see 4 waves here. Like this is the start of our impulsive move, right? On XRP, you have your wave 1 or XRP dominance. You have your wave 1, your wave 2, your third wave, and now we're forming a little bit of a range here. So it may come down a bit like this, and then finally go in for the wave 5 towards this high time frame supply. So when XRP dominance gets up to this region, that's when you'd want to be very cautious holding your XRP, because it's likely to see a deviation back to the mean. Okay, likely to see a deviation back to the mean. I expect XRP to come down to this zone again, but not before it taps into this high time frame supply over here. Okay. You see these higher retracements here on the linear scale, it's perfectly sits right at this supply. Let's see what it looks like on the logarithmic. You see the 786 is right there at 14.47%. We'll also add the 88.6% fib in there. And yeah, so 1447 to 20%. Once it taps into this region, be very careful holding your XRP. But to answer your question, I do think XRP makes a new all-time high, or it makes a 5th wave higher towards the targets we've been talking about. However, I would say that there's more gains to be made in other coins, considering XRP front run. But if you're holding XRP right now, continue to hodl. Continue to hodl. Don't make any rash decisions. Okay, let's take a look at some more coins here. Okay, let's take a look at Jasmi. I have a really nice chart here on Jasmi. We actually call the bottom in the Discord. Yeah, Jasmi is looking perfect. This is the 4-hour time frame on Jasmi. We are above the momentum indicator. Looks like we're going to reach for these highs here at 0.019 and make our way towards the 200-day moving average at 0.02. Now, what marked the bottom was this C wave came down to the 61.8% fib. You see how we came down to the 618? And these fib supports were found simply by taking a fib from the low here in 2023 up to this high. So you can see that we had a 5-wave move down to the 618. This is a expanded flat where you have a 3-wave move down for your A, 3-wave move up for your B, and your B wave sweeps your A wave high. And then you have a 5-wave move down for your C, going below the bottom of your A wave. Okay. Now we're having an impulsive move to the upside. So I do think that Jasmi is going to be headed towards 11 to 12 cent. And that's simply because when we take a trend-based fib to this, to measure your 5th wave, it comes there at 0.118. And then when we take a fib from this high in 2021, where it topped out at, before it went down 99%, 99%, we see that the 786 is right there at around 12 cent. So 11 to 12 cent is where you'd want to be very cautious on Jasmi, because that's likely to be our 5th and final wave to the upside before we have an ABC correction down. Okay, Jasmi is very bullish. From current price up to that target, it's a 6x. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Yeah, this is Jasmi. We'll take a look at Hex on PulseChain. Let's take a look. Hex. Okay, Hex on PulseChain is looking pretty good. It's come down to this demand zone, and seeing a nice push off the 61.8% fib over here. Let's remove this. Yeah, so you see how it's seeing a bullish engulfing off the 618 on the daily time frame. So if we can get back above if we can get back above 0.0071 and 0.0075, then it's very likely that we're going to have continuation up to this supply zone right here. See, it's just a huge accumulation range. This was your spring, and this was your test after your spring. And this test came down to the 88.6% fib. I'll show you guys here. See? So yeah, if Hex can get above the 0.0071, then it's very likely going to have continuation up to this supply right here. And then what we can do to find the targets is just take a fib from this high over here down to this low. On the linear scale, we'll take a look at all of these levels here. So I expect to move up here at 10 to 12 cent, and that would be a wave 3. If it tops out here, then if we see a correction from there, you would just take a fib from the local top down to wherever it corrects down to the bottom of wherever it corrects to, and you just place a fib like this again to find your wave 5 target. Okay, so you have your wave 1, your wave 2, your 3rd, your 4th, and then wherever this bottoms out, you take a fib from wherever this tops out to wherever this bottoms out to find your wave 5 target, and then we come down from there. Okay, so yeah, I'm expecting on Hex on PulseChain, expecting 10 to 12 cent. Simply because that's a 3.618 and 4.236 extension. Okay, and we actually have on the daily time frame, we have hidden bullish divergence. Right, higher low, but a lower low. Or yeah, a lower low on the RSI. So hidden bullish divergence here on Hex. Let's take a look at some more coins you guys have. So so AB is okay. Green King is asking for XPR. AB is asking for OGN. Viking Boat is asking for XCN. Real Ice Bear is saying, do you think ISO 20022 regulations and institutional adoption tempers price action in the future? Yes, I do. However, I do think that this run is purely a speculative run, but in the future, like around 2030, 2026 to 2030, year 2026 to 2030, that's when I think we'll start to see utility reflected in price. So in the next cycle on XRP, I'm expecting 27 to $50, maybe even $100, as crazy as that may sound. But I'm a big bull on XRP in the long term. However, I do think that this current run is purely a speculative one, and we should be taking profits from $5 and onwards. Okay, let's take a look at XCN, and then we'll take a look at OGN. So this is XCN. I believe I made an XCN chart. I think I put it over here. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. This is the XCN chart. Okay, and look how well XCN bounced off the 200-day moving average. You had your downtrend from January for 71 days. We tapped the 200-day SMA 2 times and then we blasted off like that. Now the only thing I would want to see for XCN is just to get back over this zone right here at 0.023, so we can confirm higher and that this isn't an ABC correction where this is your A wave, this is your B wave, and then we come down for a C. That would be the worst case scenario, but in my opinion, I think we end up getting over this supply zone and then heading towards our wave 5 targets right here. So as you guys can see, we only have 4 waves here. Judging by this advance right here, it looks like it's having an impulsive move to the upside, and considering this big push off the 200-day moving average, that's what kind of tips me off to say that we're gonna have this wave 5 and that this isn't an ABC correction. But right now we're just seeing a little bit of consolidation here. So we have our first leg, and then we have consolidation. And then once this finishes consolidating, then we're going to have our third leg. Then we're going to have our next leg higher. That's what I'm thinking for XCN. So yeah, XCN targets, we'd be looking at 7 cent to 14 cent, or 7 cent to 15 cent. Now what you guys can do is just come to your chart, take a fib from the January high on XCN down to this low in April, and take a look at all of these fibs on the linear scale: 1.618, 2.618, and 3.618. These are the levels in which you'd want to be taking profit at, not financial advice. And then when we take a fib from the all-time high back in 2022 down to this low, XCN dropped over 99.6%. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, we can see when we take a fib from this high down to this low, we see the 786 is right there at 14 cent. Right? Lots of confluence here, like around this region. So I do think that XCN is going to go higher. I just want to see a move above this supply zone at 0.023 in order to confirm. But yeah, that's XCN. Let's take a look at OGN over here. OGN, we covered this in the last stream. I said that this is Wyckoff accumulation. This is Wyckoff accumulation. I do think that we see a move back to the median here at 50 cent on Origin Protocol. As long as we can stay above these lows here. So as long as we can stay above, let me see here. Okay, so as long as we can stay above 0.06 on the daily time frame, then I don't see a reason why XEN can make its way back to the median of this range. Okay. So like even if this was an ABC correction, right? I think that this would be your B wave, and then we come up for a C wave, right? Your A, B, C up for your A, your A, B, C down for your B, and then a 5-wave move to the upside, taking out these highs. And then we'd probably come down from there and just make a lower high on the macro scale, right? So yeah, what I would want to see on OGN going forward is just for 0.006 to hold on the daily time frame. And yeah, that's it pretty much. I do expect a move up to this 200-day moving average. If we can get back above the 200-day moving average, then we can confirm higher. But yeah, that's OGN. So even if OGN was bearish, like if it's just moving corrective, I still think we need to see a C wave to the upside. This is your A, this is your B, sweeping this low that we had in June 2023 before we went up by over 347%. See how we swept it over here? And now I think we see distribution up towards these fibs. So yeah, that's OGN. Stefan is asking, hey Pip, how high you think XRP will go in 2025? So the highest target that I see is 11 to 14 bucks. 11, 13, and then 14. I don't think it goes above 14. Now we can take a look at XRP very quickly, and I'll tell you why. This is the 3-day time frame on XRP. If we take a fib from the 2018 high down to the low, we can see the 4.236 extension is right there at 13. So it could go $1 higher at 14. Okay. The reason I say 14 is because if we consider that this is a wave 4 and this is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we need to have a 5th wave. Well, to find your 5th wave, we can just simply take a trend-based fib to this. And let me see here. Yeah, it's around there at 13.90. Or yeah, 14 bucks. So 13 to 14 is what I would be expecting for the highest XRP can go. But you'd want to be scaling out starting from $5, 480 to $5. You'd want to start scaling out. Not financial advice. But yeah, I do think that XRP can go up here to the 4.236. And the 3.618 is at 1150. Let's see where the 2.618 is. It's right there at 840. So this is where you'd want to be scaling out aggressively, right here. And yeah, we have the 1.786 at 577 as well. So around 5 and all the targets after, you'd want to be scaling out, right? Okay, here are all the targets here. Okay, these are the levels in which you'd want to be scaling out at. Okay. Okay, very simple, right? I think we're going to have an extension of the fifth wave because that's usually what we see in crypto. Because it's such a highly over-leveraged market with a ton of hype and FOMO. But yeah, this is what I see on XRP. Let's take a look at Total 3 again. Yeah, so looking pretty good, reaching for the highs at 847. I do think that we make our way towards the 200 day at 856 and then get above it. Let's take a look at XPR over here. Proton Network. And I think we're going to go in for a wave 5 here. Let me see here. Now on the daily time frame, XPR, I would want to see a move above this momentum indicator here at 0.00375. If we can get above that on the daily time frame, then it's very likely this was the bottom, and we're going to have continuation up above these highs. Let's take a look at the 100-day moving average. Let's see where that is. See where the 50-day moving average is on XPR, and we're actually pushing off of the 50-day moving average here. So if we can get back up above this momentum indicator, then it's likely we'll reach for the 100-day. Get above the 100-day, then it's very likely the bottom is in. And from an Elliott wave point of view, we could say that this is your wave 1, right? This is your wave 2, your third, fourth, and then we're going in for the fifth here. And then we could take a fib from this drop-off point back in 2021 down to this low, and that drop-off point was before we went down by over 98%. Almost 99%. And take a look at the retracement levels here. And yeah, you see 702 is at 0.013 and 786 is at 0.019. Then what we can also do is take a trend-based fib to this to find the wave 5 target. And you can see, let me see here. And you can see here that the 702 and the 786, it's within that same region. So this is where you'd want to be taking profit at. Take profit. Boom. Now, there's something else that we can do to find more confluence, and that's simply just taking a fib from this high in January down to this low in April. And let's take a look at all of the major fibs on the linear scale. Yeah, so it's around the same region, right? Okay. Yeah, this is This is XPR network. Okay, we just be coming up to this supply zone here. And then we'll likely see the drop for the bear market. Back down to what was previously, or back down to demand zone. So right here. So a nice, so if XPR is bottom, then that would be about 461 to 500% gain. Let's see where this wave 4 came down to relative to the August 2024 low. And we can see here that it's come down to the 70.2% fib. You guys see that? See how we came down to the 702? So yeah, this is XPR. So Ian is asking for, okay, JTG is asking for a loop ring. Abdur is asking for Litecoin. I'm really bullish on Litecoin. I actually think it's going to do a really nice run in 2025. I'll show you guys why in a second. And Christopher is asking for Songbird in the for the XRP ecosystem. So let's take a look at Litecoin, and then we'll take a look at Loopring, XLM, and then we'll also take a look at Songbird. So let's take a look here. LTC. Super bullish on LTC. We called the bottom perfectly in the last stream and on the Discord. This was simply just an ABC correction down. Let's put this on the black chart. Do you guys see that? ABC down to the 78.6% fib. So Litecoin is bottomed. And then look how we use this momentum indicator. We pushed off of it on the 4-hour time frame. Look at that as well. We're clearly in an uptrend on Litecoin. Yeah, I think the altcoin market is bottomed. It's very likely. And you see how many times Litecoin has used this level as structural, as support and resistance, going all the way back to 2017. You see how many times we've used it? And then all we did over here from December to April is just an ABC down to it before we can start our healthy advance to the upside. Taking a look at Litecoin on the weekly time frame, to find the targets, all we would want to do is just simply take a fib from the 2021 high down to the 2022 low, and I'd be expecting a move to at least the 786 on the linear scale, and that would be sitting at $339. But it's likely we're going to go a little bit higher than that and make a slightly higher high above the 2021 high. So you can see the 2021 high just went a little bit over the 2017 high, and it's likely that the 2025 high will go just a little bit above the 2021 high. So I'd be expecting $509 to $564 dollars. So up to the 786, that's 270% from current price, and then up to the 1.236 and 1.382, it's 500%. So this is a nice coin. It's a good, I would say this coin is very safe. It's like a very safe blue chip coin. It's pretty good. See how many times we've used this level? And all we did was just have an ABC correction down to tap it. 200-day moving average sits at 98. Yeah, 98.2. If we can get above the 200-day moving average, then it's smooth sailing from there. We're already above the 50-day moving average. So yeah, the 100 and 200 days, once we get above that, then we should be smooth sailing on Litecoin from here. This just looks like a diagonal structure, right? A ending diagonal where you have an ABC down for each of the waves. ABC down, ABC down, ABC down, then you have an ABC up. Or sorry, ABC down from 2017 to 2018, ABC up from 2017 to 2021, another ABC down to 2022, and now we have to have another ABC up here. So what we can also do is take a trend-based fib to this and see if there's any more confluence. Yeah, so it's very likely that we're going to come up to 315 to 349 and then 501 or 509 to 582. Very, very likely. Okay, this is Litecoin. Looks pretty good. I think it's bottomed. Okay, so let's take a look at Songbird. Then we're going to take a look at XLM, Loop Ring, and then Viking Boat is saying that Phoenix is his biggest bag. So we'll take a quick look at Phoenix. Okay, so this is XLM. I actually made an XLM chart on a different layout, so let me just see here. Let me just try to find it. Oh, okay, it's right over here. Yeah, so we call the bottom on XLM in the Discord and in the previous live stream. I do think that XLM comes up to 147 to 162. This is where you'd want to be taking profit at. Now, the reason I say 147 to 162 is simply because when we take a fib from the 2017 high, which is the all-time high, down to this low, or sorry, let me see here. And down to this low on March 2020, we can see that the 1.618 and 1.786 is right there at $1.47 to $1.62. Then when we take a fib from the November high down to this low in April, we see that the 1.786 is right at that same level. Okay. So yeah, this would be a big TP level. As price reaches $1.47 to $1.67 around this region, then we may have a little bit of a decline and then go up for one last push up to around 326 to 380, and then come down for your bear market. But so far XLM is looking pretty good. We can see here on the daily time frame that it just came down to the 786 relative to the August lows in 2024. See how it came down to the 786 here? Now we're just below the 200-day moving average on XLM, sitting at 0.306. Once we get above the 200-day, then should be smooth sailing from there. This also looks like a little bit of a falling wedge. There's your falling wedge on XLM. We can take a look at the EMAs. And we're above all of the major EMAs on the 4-hour for XLM. Now, take a look at this structure here on XLM. You can see that Litecoin is kind of front running a bit. Right? This is your wave 1. This is your wave 1. Come down for a wave 2. Then you had a wave 3 high come in here. Wave 3 high. But now Litecoin is above these highs, but XLM is not. So we could potentially say, that XLM still has some more room to go for the rest of the week at 30 cent. So I think that XLM reaches for these highs here at 30 cent. And yeah, XLM looks pretty good on the high time frame. I just want to see a move back above the 200-day, sitting at 31 cent or 0.306. Just want to see a move above that level so we can confirm higher. This is the macro chart on XLM. Looks fine. What's up, Carlos? Welcome to the YouTube membership. Let's take a look. Okay, so we can take a look at Cubic. I know one of the members in the Discord, he's like really big into Cubic. I took a look at Cubic last week, I think. It looks pretty bullish. Let me see if I can find the link to the full Cubic chart. 1 second here. I'm just going on my Discord. I'm just trying to see okay, it's right here. 1 second. Okay. Okay. Right here. I think this is it. Just trying to get the full chart on this coin. Oh, here it is. This is Cubic. And now, you know, the thing I like about Cubic is that it's swept these lows right over here. You see these lows here? And we've been using these lows for $130 days. And then we swept it in March 2025. And now we're back above it for the month of April. So we can take a fib from the all-time high down to this low over here, and these would be all of the Fibonacci retracement levels. This could be your A wave, your B wave, and then your C wave is finished right here. Okay, and you can see that the C wave came down to the 78.6% fib right here when we use our trend-based fib. So as long as this level can hold right here on cubic, as long as we can hold above this level, then I don't see a reason why we shouldn't see a move up to these retracement levels. Yeah, cubic looks fine. I really like how cubic swept these lows here. And now we're back into this range. So I think we see a move back up to this supply at the 61.8% fib. So maybe something like this, right? Something like this, and then this would be your B wave, and then we would have the C wave down. So you'd want to be, so what you can do, come to your cubic chart, take a fib from the all-time high down to this low, and take a look at the fibs on the linear scale. So we'd mainly be targeting this pocket right here. Okay, you can pause the video and screenshot it, but from current price, that would be about 450 to 600%. And then I think the bear market commences from there. I don't think cubic reaches the last all-time high, but instead just comes up to these retracement levels. So yeah, that's cubic. Let's take a look at Dent. Dent is on a tear. It's looking pretty good. I really like this coin, Dent. It's literally doing the exact same thing as XRP from 2014 to 2017. Like, doesn't that look like so similar? Like, do you guys see that? Yeah, that's Dent versus XRP back in the day. Now, a lot of people, they say that Dent can't do something similar, but I would disagree, because this range over here is supply absorption. Okay, you have the composite operator absorbing supply, and especially when it deviates below this range, just like XRP had that deviation. Retraction back. So XRP, which is the bottom pane over here, it had manipulation down, a retraction back into the range, and then blast. If you take a look at Dent, we had manipulation down below, then a retraction back into the range. We may even see a little bit of a retrace, and then we're going to have the blast. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. Really similar structure. Hey, what's up, Mina? Mina is asking, did we cover ALGO? We didn't cover ALGO yet. Let's take a look at ALGO. So we called the bottom on ALGO in the Discord. We were like right over here on ALGO, and I said that this is likely to be the bottom if we get above 0.185 to 0.19, and so far we've done that. When we take a look at ALGO on the 4-hour time frame, we do see bullish order flow. You see how you take out these highs? So this move over here was your break of structure. Then you make your way back above these highs, and that would be your change of character. Okay, then you have a retrace to fill inefficiency, then you have continuation up, and then you take out these highs. Then you have another consolidation move over here, and it's likely we're going to see continuation higher. So see, it's just it's just consolidation, continuation. That's all it is, like on the small time frame. But yeah, this is ALGO. I think it's going to come up to this mitigation block plus fair value gap on the daily time frame, which would be about a 75, or from current price it would be about a 42% gain. And then I eventually expect ALGO to reach this macro breaker block plus monthly fair value gap. Or sorry, is it the weekly fair value gap? Let me see here. Or yeah, it's the weekly fair value gap. So from current prices, I expect 220% on ALGO, up to 75 cent. The reason we're saying 75 cent is simply because when we take a fib from the high, the all-time high, down to the low, that's the 61.8% fib. And then there's more confluence that we'll find resistance here because we have a breaker block and this weekly fair value gap at that same level. So about 75 cent, 75 to 82 cent is where I expect ALGO to go. And it is looking really bullish, right? You take out these highs, then you come down for a partial decline, and then you have continuation. This is basically what it looks like here. Let me see. Right, you have these highs, and then you take those highs out, and then you come down like this, and then you have continuation higher. That's all it is. Okay, it's the exact same thing here. Okay, still making higher lows, so it's pretty good. I want you guys to take a look at this. right here. It will just be an introduction to smart money concepts and how liquidity moves in the market. Okay, go on Google Images, type in institutional price action cheat sheet, and you'll see all of these structures. And you know, you can keep it up. You can keep it up on as a tab while you're looking at your charts, and you'll notice that you'll see these structures a lot in the market. So this is just a little bit of an introduction to smart money concepts and market structure and how price moves. Okay. So yeah, that's what I think for ALGO. I think that we're going to come up to the 61.8% fib sitting at 75 cent and then tap this breaker block plus fair value gap as well. So 75 to 81 cent. Okay. Mina is saying, I want to dump my ALGO to Dent. I love Dent. Such a good coin. I think it's going to do pretty well. Okay, so Chris Wilson is asking for UFO gaming. Okay, let's take a look at UFO gaming here. I believe I made a chart. Let me just see. Let me just go to the Discord and see where I put that chart. Let me just see here. 1 second, guys. Okay, I put it right here. 1 sec. S&P 500 is on a tear, looking really good. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. Okay. UFO gaming. You see how we kind of have a falling wedge structure? And then we have deviation, or we have a push below the bottom support of this pattern, which is right over here. Right over here. So now all I want to see on UFO gaming is just a push up to this level. Just to this level right here. If we can get a push up to this level and then get above it on the daily time frame, then it's very likely we'll come up to the higher retracements here. Because even if this was corrective, what I'm thinking is that this could be your A wave. This is your B wave, and then we have a C wave up like that to take out these highs. And then we come down for the bear market. And you know, this UFO gaming, it actually reminds me a lot like CRV in a way, the structure of CRV. Now, don't buy UFO gaming yet. Wait for a push up to this level. Wait for a push up to this level first, and then for extra confirmation, look for a daily close above this level. Because once you get above this level, then we can confirm that this move here below this diagonal support was just deviation, or in other words, manipulation to the downside. Then we'd be going in for distribution before your bear market. But yeah, like I was saying, I think this is very similar to that of CRV. I'll show you what I mean. me just see here where I put this chart. Okay, yeah, so you see for CRV, you have the same falling wedge-like structure, right? And then we had deviation below this diagonal support. And then once we attempted to rally back towards it, that was your sign that this was just manipulation. And we have 5 waves here. Wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your 5th wave takes out this diagonal support. And we see no different on UFO, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and your 5th wave takes out diagonal support. So all I want to see here is just a push back up to this level, or even a daily close above it for extra confirmation, so we can say that this is your A, your B, and then a C wave to the upside. Okay, and then these would be all of your retracement levels in which you'd want to scale out of your position. Okay, so the 50% fib, 61.8% fib, and 70.2% fib is what we would be targeting once we get that confirmation of a bottom. But yeah, looks pretty good. So KN Moy is asking for cake. We took a look at cake, bro. We took a look at cake at the beginning of the stream, but if you want, we can take another look at it. Ian McDonald is saying FX is moving again today up 40%. Abdur Jabbar is saying Dogecoin price $1 this year. Yeah, I expect $1 for sure. I expect $1 to $1.40 on Doge. I really like this chart here on Doge. Let's go here. Yeah, so this is Doge right here. It's the Livermore speculative chart, or you can even consider this like an ending expanding diagonal. But in order to validate a scenario in which we go above 70 cent to $1.06 to $1.40, we would need to see this region hold here, which I think it will, as long as total 3 can sustain its momentum to the upside. But yeah, this is Doge. We haven't completed the 5th wave of our B wave yet. We haven't done it yet. Okay, let's take a look at FX. Ian was saying that we've gone up about 40% today. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. I think I called the bottom in the last stream. This was in the last stream, we took a look at FX. So yeah, this is your wave 4, and we're coming up for a wave 5 here. Look to take profit on FX at 45 and 64 cent. 45, 64, and 91 cent is where you'd want to be taking profit on FX. Now, yeah, so this is your accumulation on FX, right? Your accumulation. Then you have your manipulation down, And once you rally back to this level here, the range lows, once you rally back to it, then you know for sure, oh yeah, this was just manipulation and now we're going in for expansion or distribution. Let's take a look at FX on a little bit more of a cleaner chart here. Let me see on a different layout we can do it. This coin is on a tear right now. Let's see. Yeah, so these are the TP levels here. This could even break the all-time high. I'm not sure, but you want to be cautious. What else can we do here? We can take a fib from the high of this range down to this low. And just see if there's any confluence. And yeah, we have a lot of confluence here. 1.786 is, you see how it perfectly lined up with the 618? Not perfectly, but like right there. So 42 to 45 cent, and then the 2.618 is right under the 702. So 60 to 63 cent, and then 82 to 96 cent. This is where you'd want to take profit. So you have your accumulation, your manipulation, and now we're going in for distribution. But there's no guarantee that we're going to take out these highs, right? We have to assume, just to be on the safe side, that this is just a corrective move, and then we come back down, just to be on the safe side. But don't sell it all over here, just in case we do take out these highs. But yeah, these would be the targets for FX. Yeah, that's FX. Looks pretty good. Looks really good. Still within its distribution phase. Mina is saying, "You must be so tired, Pip." I'm actually not that tired. But yeah, we'll take a look at Zap for you, Mina. I know there was a lot of holders on Zap in 2021, 2022. And something I've noticed on Zap is that the lows have been holding so well. Almost like there's a buy wall, like just sticking there, preventing the price from going any lower. We're definitely going to take a look at Zap, but before we do so, let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. So this is Bitcoin dominance over here. I do expect a move to 66%, and that's simply because that is the 78.6% fib on the linear scale measured from the 2020 high down to the low in 2022. Let's go here on the 3-day time frame, and let's turn this into a black chart here, right here. Okay. Okay. So this is where I expect Bitcoin dominance to go to. Okay, this is just an ending diagonal. As you guys can see, this is just your ending diagonal right here. Okay. And then on the weekly time frame, we have this inversion fair value gap. And if you take a fib from the very low up to 66%, look where the 702 and the 786 is. You see how it perfectly lines up there at the weekly inversion fair value gap? So I would be expecting a drop from this level here at 66%. And this would simply be an A, a B, and a C wave correction to the upside. Okay, that's what I see on Bitcoin dominance. Right, you have a 3-wave move up for your A, 3-wave move down for your B, and then for your C wave, you have a 5-wave move to the upside. Within the 5th wave of this C wave, we have an ending diagonal in which the waves are overlapping each other. Then when you take a look at the RSI on the weekly time frame, we have triple negative divergence. So we've been making consecutive higher highs, even though we've been making lower highs on the RSI. And it's much more prominent on the, let me see here, on the 3-day as well. Or let me see here, on the, let's see the 2-week time frame. I mean, it can't go much higher. Like, if the RSI is up here, let's take a look at the stock RSI on the weekly. Yeah, so look at the stock RSI here, right at the highs. Now, the good thing about the stock RSI is that there's only one high and one low point. Do you guys see that? So we're eventually going to see a move back down to at least the mean, which would be at the reading of 50. Okay? So yeah, that's Bitcoin dominance. Let's take a look at Zap over here for Mina. I actually still have some Zap tokens from 2021. Okay, so on CoinTrader Pro, that's where most of the Zap history is located. Very low liquidity right now, but remember, whenever whenever a coin has less liquidity, the higher it pumps. Remember that. It's not, it usually, like, it sounds very, it doesn't sound correct. You would think that the more liquidity a coin has, the higher it pumps, but it's actually the complete opposite. The less liquidity a coin has, the higher it pumps. So lower liquidity is more gains. So like I was saying with Zap, you see how well these lows are holding? And it's almost like there's a buy wall right here. And even though we've been going down here on the weekly, making lower lows, we've been making higher lows on the weekly RSI. So for Zap, I would say it's just a waiting game, really. Like, we need more liquidity to show up, or we need to see a little bit more of a push on total 3, and then we can get back up to these retracement levels, because you have to think there's still trapped holders here that are waiting to take profit when price gets up to these retracements. Doesn't look bad. I mean, it's still holding the structural support from 2019. You see, we're at the 2019 lows here, and we've gone down by over 99%, almost 100%, 99.8%. So if you think about it, right, how much more Zap can be sold in the markets? There's not much Zap that can be sold. I mean, all of the holders, I would say that all of the holders, if they wanted to sell, they would have already done it. So now it's just a waiting game, right? So we can break out of this falling wedge. And then come up to this level here at 0.043 to 0.07, with the possibility of even tapping 11 cent. So this region right here is where you'd want to be cautious on Zap. Okay, and that makes sense, because this would also be diagonal trendline resistance right here. So yeah, I think Zap is going to make a comeback. I think it's likely. Bullish divergence on the weekly RSI, a little bit of a falling wedge going back to March 2024. 2019 lows or 2019 structural support is still holding, almost like there's a buy wall here. I mean, people, like, if you held Zap, like if you held Zap up until now, it's unlikely that someone would sell right here. I mean, I feel like they would have already done it. So there's not much, I would say there's not much sellers left on this coin. And the low liquidity is actually a good thing. It'll allow for such volatility to the upside to occur. But yeah, that's Zap. We can also take a regular fib from the March high over here down to this low, like right here, and see if there's any confluence. Yeah. So we're likely get some resistance here from the 618 up to the 786 on Zap. And then it'll probably come down for your bear market. right? This could be a 5-wave move down. And then you have your ABC up. 3 up in your A from 2023 up to March 2024. 3 down in your B. And then a 5-wave move to the upside in your C wave. And then you have continuation down for your bear. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking on Zap. I think you can make a comeback. Okay, and yeah, Bitcoin dominance, I think it still has a little bit more to go. Expecting to face some rejection here at 66%. Dubai Fitness is saying, do you think the lows are now in for crypto? Yeah, I think the lows are in. It's very evident here. Very evident here on Bitcoin. We're above this momentum indicator on the weekly, and then on the 2-week, look how we curled off of it. Do you guys see that? And then we're above the 200-day, and we're also above the 50 and 100. So yeah, the lows are in. The lows are definitely in on in crypto. Right now, alts are starting to show some signs of life. Like, look at this support, how good it looks. Looks pretty good. And look, we're above this momentum indicator on total 3 as well. Do you guys see that? This is the 2-week time frame. So yeah, I would say the lows are in. I'm very, very confident the lows are in. See that? We're above this 2-week momentum indicator. Okay, so let's take a look. Mina said she's the only holder of Zap. That's hilarious. I'm sure there's more holders like. Okay, so let's do Zill. We'll do Zill. And you know, Zill would likely see a breakout above these highs here. I see a move back up to this supply at 0.033 and 0.038. And this is pure Wyckoff accumulation. We've been within this range for 833 days now. And in March of 2025, that's when we sweep this low in July of 2024 before we went up by over 240%. So, and look what Zill is also showing. It's showing these 3 floors of price action. So remember what I said in my previous streams. Whenever you see 3 floors of price action in which the adjacent low gets swept very slightly and then sees a run. See how every time the adjacent low gets swept, we see a run. And we see the same thing here. So now I'm just expecting a move up to this supply. And it's likely we're going to find resistance at this supply zone at 0.038. But I think that considering we've had 4 rejections so far, I believe the 5th or 6th time we get up to it, we actually have the breakout. And we'd be taking a look at these fibs here. Okay, these are your fibs. Then we can take a fib from this drop-off point in December down to this low. Take a look at the major fibs here. On the linear scale. And you see how perfectly it lines up with the regular fibs we placed? So I'm thinking this is where this would be a big TP level from 11 to 13 cent. So this could be your TP1 from 7 to 8 cent. And then from 11 to 13 cent would be another TP level. And then there is a possibility that we actually go above these all-time highs. So I would say to definitely keep some coins aside just in case it goes above this all-time high. Because you can see here that the bear market came down to the 70.2% fib here. See, 702 is tapped right over here. So I think the low is in on ZIL, and we're now ready for expansion to the upside. I think the low is in, and we're going to move up to supply at 0.038 for the next point of interest. But from current price up to the 70.2% fib, it's a 6x. Up to the 786, it's about an 8x. So some good gains on this coin. And even if this was corrective, we could say that this is your A wave, your B wave, and then we have a C wave like that. So even if this was corrective, it still offers great gains. Okay guys, so I'm going to end the stream. It was really nice having you guys here. We'll make sure to do another stream tomorrow on Friday, Friday morning pre-New York session before 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and for all of the coins that I haven't got to, I'll make sure to get to them tomorrow. Or you guys can click the link in the description below. Join the Patreon and Discord so you can connect with me one-on-one, and we can take a look at the coins together. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out and take it easy. I'll see you guys in the next one.